What up? What up? What up? It is Monday. It is 8:30, which means it is time for Conversations with Teresa. And
Yes.
tonight we have our resident doctor, Dr.
Yay.
Vyvyane Loh in the house. Hey, Vivian, how are you today?
I am well. Good to see
Oh,
you.
it is so good to be seen, and it's great to see you too. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, I think about on the Today Show, they have like this resident doctor they always go to, to ask
I'm
questions. So
Teresa's resident doc.
you are it, girl. We are so grateful to have you on. There's always so many different things to talk about when it comes to our health, our well-being, our mindset. There's so much that's always going on a day, minute by minute, hour by hour. And I love when you come on because you break it down, whatever the subject
Yay.
is, to a way that we can take it and take it
Oh,
all in so that it's effective. And that's going to be super, super important. I mean, we can get all the information in the world, right? But if we can't really use it to our
yes,
benefit, then,
that's right.
what good is it? So are you ready for just a blast of questions, Dr. Lowe?
I am ready. And you know that countdown music that Carl put on? I was vibing with it, just
Right?
getting in the flow. I know. We should
I
have it
love it.
playing through the show. Okay.
I know, I know. I think about that. Maybe we'll work that out, or we'll do a little bit of background music, and then we can just kind of keep going on and keep going on. So it's good stuff. I
Yep.
do, and you know what? And just even thinking about our minds, sometimes we need that boost of energy. I talk about how music for me it makes a whole world of difference in my attitude and mindset sometimes. And so we have that music, and it really does it pumps me up besides the other music
Guess
that I listen to
what,
before.
Teresa?
Tell me.
That's a whole episode.
Come on, that's what I'm see that listen.
I'm gonna tell people what happens to your body with music, with movement. Yeah. That's another
Ooh,
episode though.
another episode. Well, you know what, you're gonna be back, so it's all good.
Resident doc, right?
Resident
I'm
doctor, so
residing here.
so good stuff, good stuff. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today. I'm hoping that we have enough time because we get together, we just start going in, and I appreciate it. But some of the things that are uh, I guess on my mind, and because it's affecting so many people around me. One are allergies, the environmental allergies that's going on. So I wanted to talk a little bit about I wanted to talk. No, I want you to talk a little bit about maybe there's some things that we could be doing that we're not thinking of. I mean, we have the Benadryl, we have the Zyrtex, we have different things, but maybe there's a little bit more. But then I also wanted to wanted you to talk about again, just sleep, the benefits of sleep, and if there is a difference between for our bodies sleep and rest,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
so, well, I'm going to let you do it because that's what you do. But those are the different things that I've been thinking about. So again, the allergies are just, it's evident people are just suffering like crazy. My children, poor things, like they're just every day. I'm like, you still got to go to school. I'm sorry. Like, like
Yeah,
allergies are going to
yeah,
happen, right? You
yeah,
still got to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
But then, we're tired, and then are we getting enough sleep? What's enough sleep now? Is it different for everyone else? And our body being at rest, how much importance that is. And then again, just the benefits, health wise, mind wise, all that stuff. So I'm going to let you take it from here. How about
Okay. So when
that?
we're talking about the immune system, when we talk about allergies, we're talking about the immune system. Okay.
Okay.
And let's just kind of step back a little bit and have an overview of what is the job of your immune system. And your immune system basically is there to decide, first of all, who belongs here and who doesn't belong here.
Okay.
Okay. So it's got this like, okay, who belongs here and it's safe to have around, and who doesn't belong here and we might be in trouble.
Oh,
Okay. That's really what your immune system is trying to do. And if they decide that something doesn't belong in your body, then they want to get rid of it because they don't want you to suffer any damage or injury from it. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the way that your immune system does this is that there's two parts to the immune system. One is the immediate security part, and then
Okay.
the long-term defense part. Okay. So the immediate forces are there to make a quick decision. They have to decide, like right here and now, is this going to hurt us or not? And then it's
Okay.
going to say, I think based on whatever we can see here, this is not good. We'll just attack and get rid of it.
Okay.
Because if we don't, the consequences could be dire. We could die. Okay. Now, as that is happening, so it goes on the attack. If it decides something doesn't look right here and doesn't belong here, let's say it's a bacteria. Okay,
Okay.
the immune system says, I don't know, I don't think this is one of us, and we better do something about this. So it starts attacking that short-term recognition system. Okay, it starts attacking it. But at the same time that it's doing that, it's gathering information about the enemy. Okay, and it's gathering this information and passing it to the long-term defense system.
Okay.
And now what it's doing is like, okay, well, we have these, you know how like you would sketch someone maybe who robbed a bank or something and say,
Okay.
well, he's a bald guy and he's about this tall, has, whatever, was wearing this and maybe has a tattoo or whatever, right?
Right.
So
Right.
we kind of come up with a description of different body parts, yeah, or different facial features. It'll say,
Yep.
well, he kind of had a very thin, long face or something like that, right?
Okay. Right.
What your short-term defenses are doing is it'll come up with different descriptions of different parts of the bacteria, and it will say, oh well, one immune cell will say, well, it kind of had these funny bits attached to it. And then another immune cell may say, and it was kind of hairy. One end of it had these funny hairs attached to it, right?
Okay.
All these different pieces of information are presented to the long-term forces, defense forces. Okay. And then these long-term forces go, oh, hairy bits, hairy bits. Anyone have a recognition system for this particular hairy bit, right? And then one cell will say, I do. I can recognize that hairy bit. I have a recognition system for that. Another cell might say, okay, how about this part that's kind of pokey? Anybody have a recognition system for this pokey part? Right? And that's another cell will say, I do. I have a recognition system for that pokey part. So all these cells are responding to all the parts that are presented to it. And then the cells that can recognize those parts will start to reproduce.
Okay.
Now they will go out and seek anything that has those parts. Pokey bits, attack. Hairy bits, attack. You get
Okay.
what? So now they are recognizing a specific part of that bacteria and then
All right.
attack. Okay. So now it's instead of just attack anything that kind of looks like this, now we have a very specific description. It's got these hairy bits, go after that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I went into depth is this is what is happening is that somehow your body recognizes some pollen, for example, as not belonging here. It's kind of foreign. I don't know. Let's just kind of attack it. And then it starts to recognize, oh, it looks like this, right? It's this shape. It's kind of oval shape and it's got these special things attached to it. It's got a cell wall like this, parts of the pollen, right? And your long-term defenses start to recognize also those bits, right? And they can get sensitized to those bits and start to attack those bits, right?
Okay.
Other cells that kind of will attack um, those substances, thinking that it's foreign, thinking it doesn't belong here and could damage us. And when that happens, it will cause inflammation, right? And if it's something that is in our environment, it's not a bacteria that's going to kill us, but it may be pollen in the air.
Mm-hmm.
The body now recognizes it as foreign and potentially dangerous. Then it's going to react to it, and then you get your inflammatory response, which you're going to call an allergic reaction.
Okay.
All right. So that's really what's happening when you have allergies. Your body says, I don't think this belongs. Let's go after it. And was trying to get rid of it.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
And so with the cells reproducing so much, that's why eyes get
Well, so
teary.
now you have these cells that are walking around, and anytime they see something that looks like this, pollen, go for it. Right. So if you're exposed to the pollen, your immune cells are going to respond.
Okay.
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 So in other words, and now we have an immune uh, reaction in our body. It's really not easy to get rid of that immune reaction. We can do it to a certain extent with desensitization, and it's kind of like training your immune cells that it's okay, you don't have to react, it's kind of safe, right?
Okay.
And we can do this via exposure. So you can go and get your allergy shots, for example, right?
Okay.
And it's slowly introducing little bits to the immune system and saying, look, it's safe, look, a little tiny bit. And then it's training it to be less reactive. Okay. So
So
that's what desensitization or allergy shots are about. They're trying to
okay.
train your immune system to calm down in the presence of, let's say, the pollen or whatever you're exposed to. Okay. So
Now,
that's
are
one.
the allergy shots the same way that a Benadryl and all of
No,
that will
the
work as
Benadryl
well?
is
Okay.
just preventing some of the when you have an allergic reaction or you have your allergies, right? Some of the immune cells will release substances called histamines that cause a lot of the reactions that we see. And the
Okay.
Benadryl are called the Benadryl, the Zyrtec. They are antihistamines. They prevent the release of those substances,
Okay.
but it's temporary, right?
Mm,
So it lasts as long as the drug is in your system.
right. Okay.
But the desensitization is we're trying to train the immune cells over time to be less reactive, so that eventually you might get a little bit of a sniffle, or you might not even react again to those allergens. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now, so that's kind of the short-term effects would be to use the antihistamines. The longer term is maybe we try desensitization and go for allergy shots. But in the
Okay.
meantime, what else can you do
Yes.
besides the antihistamines, right? So
Yes.
there's
What
a
else can we
couple of
do?
things, that practical things that you need to be thinking of. So I know I went into detail because I wanted to explain it, but the practical things you can do is, listen, you're out there all day with the pollen and so forth. So, did you ever think that you're bringing that back in with you in your
Right.
clothes,
Get it off my
right?
clothes.
So, you got to not only change your clothes at night, you should take a shower,
That's
right?
what I be telling my kids. They don't listen to me.
You
No, they
have
do
to
listen
shower.
to me.
You should
They're
shower right before you go to bed. All
mhm.
right. Now, if you should also cover your hair, because a lot of the pollen is in your hair, trapped in your hair. And okay, every
Hmm.
night at night you're just inhaling this. Okay. So
Interesting.
wash
Okay.
your face, right? Wash your face and shower, because again, your eyelashes and so forth, all these are areas where the pollen is collecting. You might not be aware of that,
Huh.
right?
Okay.
It turns out, I used to think, right, that if it rains, oh, it'll wash everything down and it'll get better. But it turns out actually when it rains, that you have worse allergies, because you actually have these pollen trapped in the moisture and it's around more, and you inhale it, and
Oh
it
man.
gets into your system more, right? So you want to be careful, and so you want to be careful with that. So actually when it rains is probably not when you want to be outside more.
Interesting. Yep, I literally thought that that was the opposite, that the pollen level went
I thought
down.
so too. And you
Huh.
definitely, you do, don't take it lightly. You change your clothes, and in your room, you should get a good filter. If you can get a HEPA filter. It will filter out, a lot of these environmental allergens or pollen, for
Okay.
example. Okay. So you
Okay.
have all those things, but you gotta clean because it's on you.
Right.
It's really
Right.
on you. So you have to take a full shower, cover your hair, make sure that your room has a good filter in it, a HEPA filter,
Okay.
to get rid of the allergens.
I love it. Thank you so much. Definitely those practicalities are important. I mean, yeah, showering, but I didn't think about the hair still being there because we're not washing our hair every
Yeah.
day,
Yep.
and all that stuff. So thank you so much. I know I probably have a couple more questions, but I won't because I really want to talk about sleep
Sleep. Yep.
and just the importance of it. I think just as we not even just as we're getting older, but that has an effect too. But just the benefits of sleep. We just, we think we hear, 7 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours for kids. Like we hear all these different times that we should, that we should sleep. But sometimes we take it for granted. Like, okay, I'll catch up on that, on the weekend or something like that. So I would like
Yeah.
for you to talk a bit about just the restorative benefits that happen like when we sleep, when we actually get the rest that we need, what happens to our brains and our bodies a bit while we're sleeping, and yeah, just overall the benefits of it.
Okay, so sleep, first of all, to remember that the younger you are, the more sleep you need. So if you
Hmm.
think about babies, they're, sleeping maybe 16 hours,
Hmm.
right? Why? Because their brains are still developing. So the more brain development that needs to happen, the more you need to sleep, which tells you how important sleep is for brain development. So if
Nice.
you're thinking about your kids, yeah, you know what? And we always talk about how there's a rise in ADHD, for example, a lot of
Hmm.
mental health issues. And one aspect that I think we need to definitely consider is the amount of sleep, right? And good sleep that your children are getting as
Good
they're
sleep.
developing, because you're developing your brain from the time of birth. You're still developing your brain all the way up into your 20s,
Hmm.
right? And again, the younger the child, the more sleep they need. So we
Hmm.
go from 16 hours or so, but even when we get into the teenage years, we're still requiring about 10, 11 hours because the brain still hasn't formed, right?
Mm.
Fully, right? In
Hmm.
fact, there's a lot of changes going on in the brain in those teenage years. You all know that, right? That's why it's not so easy for the parents, right? Just remember the brain's still forming, right?
Yes, it
So
is
patience,
forming. We want
patience.
it to we do want it to form a little faster,
Yeah,
but I
but
get it.
yeah,
I get it.
right? So because that's happening, it's a very intense period there.
Hmm.
So it's not that they're trying to be difficult. They're really physically going through these changes that are very
Mm,
intense, right? And the
mm,
brain is trying to reshape and restructure in many ways. And so as this is happening, if we're not getting enough sleep, that's going to compromise the development of the brain as well. Okay, so
oh,
those are important things in the kids and in children. Number one. Number
okay.
two is that we have this natural day night cycle, and that is because we need a period of repair and regeneration
Yes.
after we've kind of used our bodies for all kinds of things during the day, right? And also your body, think of the problem your body has to solve. As a body, your body says, well, okay, we got these cells up here in the eyes, we got cells down in the toes, we got
Mhm.
cells in the stomach, right? All these different parts. And what you're trying to do is, okay, we have to coordinate because we have to figure out how we're going to work together so we can keep running this system,
Okay.
right? And so, you know what, guys, we need a schedule. Because if the eyes decide to do one thing, the pancreas is doing something else at another time, the left foot
Mm.
is, everybody's just on their own schedule, right? You're never going to get anything done practically.
Okay.
Doesn't that make sense? Right?
Okay.
So you think about it as if you're running a school, okay, and you have different grades and you have different subjects and everything. But if you
Mhm.
don't have a schedule, well, this one feels like she wants to teach math at this time, and then the students are thinking, oh, I want to do social studies, and all the different grades are running around,
Right.
right? There's no schedule. You can't coordinate anything. There's going to be no
Exactly.
learning going on. So when you have any kind of organization, you need some kind of structure, and you need some way to structure when certain things are going to happen. So your body says, okay, so we have some defined processes that are going to happen during the daytime, and some that will happen while we're offline, while we're asleep.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why basically we need the day-night cycle, and we have to have sleep. Now, the thing about sleep is what happens at sleep. Number of things. We do a lot of repair and regeneration. So if you went to
Mhm.
the gym and you worked out, everybody says, I'm building muscle in the gym. No, you're not. You're actually damaging and tearing down muscle when you're in the gym. That's the
Mm.
whole point of going to the gym, is to damage muscle. That's why you feel sore after you've worked out.
Okay.
Okay. Now, then you need the sleep, because it's when you sleep that you repair the muscle. And your body
Mm.
says, and that Teresa went to the gym today and she beat me up. I hope she
Mm.
doesn't do that again. But just in case she gets the crazy idea to go back and do that workout again, why don't we build a stronger muscle?
Mm.
Right? So over time, it tries to compensate for the heavier workload that you're giving it. And it rebuilds the muscle, and it primarily will do that during sleep.
Okay.
Sleep is also when we repair. So if you had, uh, some kind of damage to your skin,
Yep.
maybe, you weren't taking care of your skin. And so for any regeneration, any healing in your skin, uh,
Mhm.
damage from ultraviolet light, all of that is going to be done at night when you're sleeping. Okay,
And
repair,
so
regeneration.
does it have to be, I might be getting ahead of myself, and tell me if I
Yeah,
am.
so you're gonna ask about sleep and rest, right? I will say
Right,
that
I was gonna say, is there a difference?
your body is resting during sleep, but
Mhm.
rest is not sleep. And the
Mhm.
reason for that is that when you're sleeping, think of it as you're running a specific program in your brain.
Okay.
From the time you go to sleep, your brain runs a program, and it's like call it like a cleaning program,
Alright.
right? Certain things. So it helps to clear out toxic proteins that have accumulated in the brain.
Hmm.
During the day, we accumulate different substances and biomolecules in the brain, and nighttime is when we clear them out.
Okay.
Okay. And that's because at night, when you're sleeping, you're running a program that says, don't we have those on I'm really bad at computers, but you have a program to like clean up your files or something, and you're
Right,
running
right.
it
Mhm.
at night when you're not using your
It's
computer.
like
You
the
know what I mean?
update. It's
Yes,
the
the
update that runs
update.
at 3 AM. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Because, why not run it at 3 p.m.? That's because you're using your computer at that time. And you're
Right.
like, hell no, right? Don't get in my way, because I'm trying to get these emails done. I'm trying to finish this
Right,
project.
right.
So you don't want me running your updates at that time. You run it at
Okay.
3 a.m., right? It's exactly the
Mm.
same thing in your body. Your body says, well, now she's going to go to the gym. Okay, now she's got to go to work. All right. Okay, she's got to pick the young ones up. We can't just take everything offline.
Right.
Right? She's driving in traffic. We can't do that,
No, please don't.
right? So it says, oh, we're going to have to save that for tonight. Okay, here's
Okay.
the problem. We're going to save it for tonight. But if it takes 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours to run that program, but you decide to cut it down to 5, 6 hours, it's not going to finish running the program.
Mm.
You can't do everything, right? So you set your updates. Let's just say you set your updates for 3 a.m. and it takes 3 hours. So it's gonna take till 6 a.m. But you wake up at, or you decide you start using your computer at 5 a.m. You're 1 hour short. You didn't finish your updates.
Okay.
Everything's running slow. It's trying to complete the update, but you're using the computer at the same time, and you're
Hmm.
just like, oh, okay, it's not working. I can't do the things I used to do, right?
Huh.
Because it didn't finish doing its update.
Okay.
So you can think of it that way when you sleep, when you cut your sleep short,
Right. Right.
right? So your brain hasn't had enough time to complete what it needs to do at night, which is clearing out those toxic proteins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are immune reactions that are going on at night too, very different um, immune sort of reactivity at night versus in the daytime and so forth. So
Huh.
that's why you need to think of sleep as a specific program that's running in your brain.
Okay.
Okay. Now, resting is like, let's say we're not moving, we're just lying down, we're resting our bodies. Okay. But we're not actually running a specific program to clean
Okay.
out your brain,
Ah, okay.
right?
All right.
And
No, that makes sense.
to send signals to to the rest of your body. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. No,
Yeah.
but that makes so much more sense, when thinking about that program. And so
It's
when we
like
cut it
when
short.
you're
Mhm.
not using your computer, right? You close it, you're resting your computer,
Right.
right? But it's not doing the update. Okay, that
Right.
was scheduled for 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever. It's not doing the update. It's just sitting there. Okay, you're not using it, so you're saving some battery. That's about it.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So adults, I am 53 years old, right? Does
I
it
would say
matter how
how much?
much
Yes,
sleep?
7 to 8 hours is what we should be aiming for. Okay, on the
Okay.
lower end, 7, but more people are actually going towards the 8 hour end. And as I said, first of all, as the day goes by, we accumulate a substance in our brain that makes us drowsy. It's called adenosine. And you only clear it out, your brain washes it out at night while you're sleeping. So if you don't
Okay.
have enough time to wash it all out, you're going to have this molecule like sit in your brain and make you drowsy, right?
Oh,
The other thing is your brain doesn't complete its cleaning process, its
yeah.
cleaning program, then it leaves behind a lot of toxic proteins that accumulate and gunk up your brain. Some of these proteins are associated with diseases like Parkinson's, like Alzheimer's disease. Okay.
Really?
Yes. So we see these plaques that develop in Alzheimer's, for example, and they are basically proteins that are toxic to your brain. And, if you're not cleaning out your brain with sleep every night, then you're not really getting rid of the toxic proteins. So you have poor sleep, not enough sleep, and your risk for Parkinson's, for Alzheimer's, and any other neurodegenerative condition is much higher, higher
So we're
risk
not
of those things.
so you're not saying that that is the cause of it, but this is what research has found, that people who have these type of diseases, they have more of this plaque on their brains.
That's right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and partly it's because we're not effectively clearing some of them. And the reason might be that you're not sleeping enough, so you don't have enough time to clean out your brain. You
Mm.
literally are cleaning out your brain at night. I think people need to know that. Okay. That's number
Yeah.
one. Another thing that's happening at night is you kind of hitting a reset thing in
Mhm.
your brain, right? So, for example, what your brain tries to do, different phases of sleep, it's trying to kind of help you put things together that have happened during the day.
Mhm.
So if you've been trying to learn a new language or learn some new skill, right? It's really at night that your brain tries to kind of configure all that you've learned and keep it in your memory.
Okay.
right? So if you don't have enough sleep, then you're not able to give your brain that chance to kind of process that information. So when you're learning a new skill, you're just dumping data at something.
Right.
But the
Right.
processing is happening when you sleep. Okay.
Okay.
So imagine that, you work in an office where, people bring in forms that they filled out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So during the day, you're just collecting the forms. Okay. But it's at night that you're sorting them out and saying, okay,
Right.
this goes here. This doesn't make sense. This form doesn't
No,
fit.
that makes
You know,
sense.
so you're doing that at night when you're sleeping. Okay.
Right.
So if you don't have that, well, you can throw all the information and all the forms you want, but you're not going to make sense of them,
Okay.
right? Without the proper sleep. And this is also true for emotional processing. So if you've had something upsetting happen or a traumatic event, lack
Mm-hmm.
of sleep also is depriving your brain the opportunity to process those emotions.
Oh,
And
okay.
so you're more likely to develop PTSD if you've experienced trauma, if you've not had good sleep to help your brain you know, process some of the trauma,
Right.
right? So
There's
those are very, very important things. They're directly impacting your life.
right. Right. That sleep is important. I think about a couple of things that came to mind, and I know that we are a little bit past our time, but I think about young mothers, new mothers, and their
That's right.
kids are up, through the time. And so it's just very hard, very disheveling. I remember being, having young kids and still working full time. It was not pleasant, you know.
No, no, and
It
I
was,
totally. I mean, I've never had kids, but I can tell you that in our training, right? I was on call every third night. So every third night, you don't sleep, and you do that for years, right?
I thought
And
about that
just
too.
think about this. And these are the people you put your life in their hands, right? And they're
I
not.
literally was thinking that was the second thing. I was gonna think parents, and then I thought about residency. Like, why doctors? Why do we put our doctors through this crazy training training when it is like so backwards?
It's quite damaging to the body. We don't actually. It's sad that we don't think about it being doctors, but and I think it's, there's so many reasons. There's shortage and stuff like that. But I'll tell you one time. I'll tell a story. I was in the ICU. I had not had enough sleep. I was trying to dictate this note before morning rounds, and I kept falling asleep every time I dictated the note. Right, and I at morning rounds, I just apologized to the attending physician. I said, I'm so sorry. I tried to get this note done and I could not. I could not stay awake. So I haven't finished the note. And he didn't say much. But later he called me over and apparently I had dictated the note 4 times. I completely had no memory of it. I
Wow.
complete I completed four separate dictations. And I was like, I don't remember. I just remember waking up.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And so, yeah, so we've done a lot, and I've done some where there were 2 days I didn't sleep in a row,
Oh,
right? So, I can totally relate, and then, it impacts your moods, you become depressed, it's very hard to move, it's very hard to do anything, and you're
right.
always walking into a wall all day,
Right.
right?
Right.
Everything is harder without sleep. Everything is
Everything.
harder. Everything we're more emotional, but everything is harder without sleep or with not enough sleep.
Ugh. Which brings me to we're gonna switch lanes a little bit about how we have to be intentional about what we do with our time, with who we spend it with,
That's
how
right.
we use our energy, how this, as you taught us, the vehicle that we have, how we, preserve this vehicle, all of this stuff. And so a couple of months ago, we
Yes.
had a program called Intentionally You. where we really talked about the mindset of just getting ourselves ready for a change. We may have grew up thinking a certain way, behaving a certain way, doing certain things, but we're realizing that this is not working anymore. What happened when I was 20 is not working when I was 30, 40, 50, moving on. And it probably shouldn't have. It
Right.
probably should never have been in some cases, right? But changing our mind about those things is tough. It can be really, really hard, especially if we don't have examples, if we don't know the reason why we should, things of that nature. And so, really talking about an intentionally you, the program that we have, talking about our minds, but then also talking about our bodies and how being intentional about how we take care of our bodies at different ages and stages, super, super important. And so, I'm excited
Me
that we get a
too.
chance to hang again.
That was
To
so much fun, wasn't it?
so fun. It
Yeah.
was, oh my gosh. So all the people who were there, everyone just kind of came ready, ready to take not only take in the information, but do something about it. Did I tell you? Um, my niece came, one of my nieces came to it. And so we started walking together. So
There you
since then we've been
go.
walking
So
on Tuesday
concrete
morning.
changes since then,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Things
the
that
other
might
thing I have to say, look, the exercises that you had people do, I mean, nobody wanted to stop. We had to like because of time, right?
oh, I
But
know.
it occurred to me like because we don't set time to do those reflections, to
Right.
think about the bigger picture of what we want in our lives, being
Mhm.
intentional, right? And the fact that
Right.
people were so absorbed and just wanted to keep going was because we don't otherwise make space or time in our
Right.
lives to do that. And I think to me, I think that was one of the biggest values too of setting that time aside, which is
Right.
why we both want to invite everyone,
Yes.
to think about that and set a special space and time to do this.
Yes. Our special time is coming up in just a couple of weeks. It's going to be Sunday, June 9th.
Yep.
We'd love for you guys to come. It's going to be the I know it's in Watertown. Tell me again the name of the
22 Mount Auburn Street in
right,
Watertown, 1:30.
at 1:30. So from
Yeah.
1:30 till about 4, 1:30 to 3:30, 4 o'clock,
By the
because when
time
we
everybody's kind of, yeah, yeah,
absolutely. But it's such an amazing time to be intentional about us, right?
yes,
Because we need us, and guess what? Other people need us. And
that's
so
right.
if we're not intentional, the world will just we'll just be all over the place and it will not be helpful. So we definitely would love for you guys to come out. It is so much it is like you said, it's so much fun, but it is so informative that you are so the you will make changes even if you don't think that you need to make changes. We all do. We can always grow and learn stuff. But I tell you, I walked away with some really great things. And again, one of those concrete things were just moving and the benefits of being mobile, right?
You walked away walking every day.
I walked away walking, right? And it's just like, I mean, I've known this all my life. I'm, conscious of it in my adult life, but it was so helpful again the way that you break things down and you made it like, well, of course, right? And so then you didn't really it wasn't a chore. It wasn't a, oh my gosh, I got to do this. It was just like, well, I want this vehicle,
Yeah,
my only vehicle. I'm going to take care of this. And
that's right.
that's one of the things that stuck really, really well. So we definitely want you guys to be here June 9th. It's a Sunday afternoon. We intentionally made it Sunday afternoon because Saturdays, well, through the week, we got stuff to do.
Busy.
Saturdays
Yeah,
is like our catch-up day. Sunday, it's about you. It's about you being intentional about you, taking care of our minds and our bodies. And it's going to be a fantastic time. So we will have on my site, I believe on your site. Will you put it up on your site
yes,
as well?
yes.
And then
1:30 on June 9th, 22 Mount Auburn Street in Watertown. Bring a friend, bring a few friends.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely. So we'll have more information coming out. We'll be talking about it. We love to see you guys. And again, I know that it's a little late. We went a little over, but it was
It's
so worth
always
it.
you, Teresa.
Always, right?
Right? Yeah. Once
So
we get going, yeah.
once we get going. So I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, Vivian. And I look forward to seeing you guys, everyone who tunes in back here on Monday at 8:30 for Conversations with Teresa. We got a lot to talk about. All
That's
right. I'm
right.
just saying, we got a lot to talk about. So, by all means, we will see you. You guys stay safe, stay blessed. It's going to be a fantastic week. So, enjoy
Make
and be
sure you
intentional.
sleep.
Okay. Listen, I'm about to go to sleep. I'll be in the bed by around 9:30. One other thing. I was so proud of me. I got 8.5 hours sleep last night.
We're
I
on
was
a
like,
roll, Teresa.
I was so impressed because I'm using my CPAP machine. Thank you, Miss
And
Dr. Lowe.
this
Okay.
is
And it
what
tells
happens
you
when you become
when
intentional.
I become intentional, right? So it tells you, like when you wake up, like how much sleep you got. I was like, it's at 8.6. I was like, what? I was so proud of me. So good stuff. So
Absolutely.
I'm all
Okay.
up. All right. I'm gonna go do that again. So listen, have an amazing night.
Repeat.
I'm gonna repeat that. Have an amazing night. We'll see you guys here next week, and we'll see you in person for Intentionally You in 2 weeks. All
Bye.
right. Have a great one. Bye bye. Have a good night.
Woohoo.